The artwork you are now seeing is from the Chihuly Garden and Glass exhibit in Seattle, Washington. This features the artwork of Northwest artist Dale Chihuly, best known for his glass work. Chihuly was born September 20th, 1941 in Tacoma, Washington. Although he did not want to go to college, after some convincing from his mother, he went on to receive degrees in interior design and sculpture. Chihuly was introduced to glasswork in college and explores more while focusing on his art in Italy. He studies and collaborates with many glass artists around the world. Dale also begins to teach and co-founds the Pilchuck Glass School in Washington. In 1976, while visiting England, he is in an automobile accident while on his way to Ireland. This accident left him with 256 stitches to his face, without sight in his left eye, and damage to his right ankle and foot. Even with the loss of his vision, he continues to work with glass. He begins breaking the rules of traditional glassblowing and making organic and asymmetrical forms using fire, gravity, and centrifugal force to let molten glass find its own shape. Then, in 1979, Chihuly dislocates his shoulder in a body surfing accident and can no longer hold and control the glass-blowing rod. He begins working with others, creating artwork as a team. They even call themselves Team Chihuly. He describes his role as more choreographer than dancer, more supervisor than participant, more director than actor. Chihuly has said that observing and directing gave him a better view and perspective of his work. Dale Chihuly has big ideas, often stretching the limits of glass. He loves a good challenge. He likes to experiment and is unafraid of failure.
It's like 2,100 degrees. Yeah. It definitely takes a while to get used to. Let me take this little glass, and you can see if it stops turning. You're going to want it to walk. It moves a lot like honey when it's hot. So, come on over, and we're just going to let this first layer cool off, and then we'll put our glass, and we'll get all your colors. So you can turn it if you want. Yeah, so let's hang out with it for a minute. Turning, so this is the glory hole. So this is at 2,300 degrees. Start to see all your cool color patterns. Yeah. And now we're going to speed it up some more. This all happens super fast. So go ahead and blow a little. Stop for a second. Start blow a little more. Color pattern. That light really makes it look really pretty. And I'll give you this. So I'm going to have to tap the pipe in a minute. So give it a little tap right here. And I'll be right back with some glass to make it okay. So glass will just stick right to itself when it's hot. And this says Oregon Coast 2019. Loaded, got cool down the So it's like 920 degrees in there.
So today we're going to use Sharpies and scraps of laminator film. So these would normally be what is thrown away at the school. So when stuff gets laminated at school, there's the scraps that are at the edge. And all year they've been saving them for us to use for this project. So we are going to be recycling something that would normally be thrown away. And we're going to create an artwork somewhat like what Chihuly might do and have that kind of glass look in a way that's a little less hot for us to use. So what you're going to do is you're going to just use color and pattern to color this piece, and then we will apply some heat. The volunteers will apply some heat to it to turn it into fun shapes that we will display in the cafeteria for the carnival. So what you can do is just pick your colors and pick a pattern. You can do all sorts of different shapes. You can do something that looks like flowers. You can just do different shapes, whatever you want to. And then you're just going to color it in with your Sharpie. So I'm going to just kind of make a shape here in the center. And I'm going to color this in. So just kind of keep in mind of how you want to color it in. And as the heat is applied, the color will become more intense. It will increase in value. So I've got my center here, and then I'm just going to use varying colors that will look nice to each other. Now we want to be careful when we put colors that they are going to show up next to each other. If we did, say, an orange and the red, they're very close together, so they might not show up as well. Whereas if we put a warm color of red or orange next to a cool color of a green, it's going to have more contrast and it's going to show up a little bit more. So I'm just going to keep kind of putting shapes around here and then coloring it in. Now, when we've used a dark color like this, if we would like to go in with a light color, if we color right here next to it, it's going to start pulling that green with it instead of giving us the pure yellow that we might want. So a thing that you can do is let this dry for a little bit, and then you can turn it over and color your yellow, and you'll get a more pure yellow because you won't be pulling from the green. And then now, so that I don't go and pull that yellow out, I'm going to flip it back over and color my next one on the other side. So they're not touching, so they won't blend together. Now this one, I'm going to maybe do some stripes. Now, if I want to get bigger parts of the color, I can kind of lay my pen down on its side and it makes broader strokes. It's a good idea to keep your hand off of this because while it's still a little bit wet, the Sharpie may lift off of it and get some on your hand. So try not to put your hand on your work. Now in those big purple areas, I might decide that, say, I want some other designs or like polka dots or something on it, so I can go through and I can add those on the other side. And then now that this is done, what we can do is we can carefully cut around our edge. And we want to make rounded cuts, not really sharp ones. and try to cut as close as you can to your color. And once you've got it cut out, then you can bring it back to a volunteer who will apply some heat to it. So once you've taken it back to a volunteer, the volunteer will put it on this metal plate, and depending on how much curve you want or things like that, you can use a bowl, but we're going to use this heat tool. The volunteers will use this heat tool to apply heat to it to kind of melt it and make it curl and make fun shapes.